So if you're here right now, then you probably just got done watching the season finale of Charm City, episode 10, Giant. So let's get into it. So first of all, let me give a round of applause. You are here, you made it. Charm City season 1 is done and is complete, and all the episodes are out there now for you to watch and enjoy. I'm so happy to have all 10 episodes out and released and to be able to tell the full story of season 1. So congratulations to me and to you all for watching, and to Charm City. So this episode was titled Giant, and if you've been watching the entire series, then you know that I like for the titles to have double meanings and come full circle throughout the episode. So this episode opens with Charm on the treadmill early in the morning. She's recalling a conversation that she had with her mother. Now, as we know, this is coming off of the fashion show that was done in the prior episode where Charm didn't do so well. If you watched episode 9, you know that the fashion show was a very triggering event for Charm. And so because of that, she did not perform well at the fashion show. And in this episode, she's recalling a conversation with her mother about how she messed up and how she potentially may have lost her spot at winning the job at Embolden magazine. And I think that this is very interesting because throughout the other episodes, we get to hear Charm speak of her father, speak of the wisdom that he gave her and the different teachings and lessons that he taught her throughout life. We get to hear his voice through her voice. So he essentially became another character throughout the series. And we know that Charm was very close to her father and that she definitely valued his advice. But in this episode, we get to hear Charm take advice more so from her mother. And her mother talks about weakness. Charm feels like she's really good at this job and she had a good shot at getting this job, but her weakness may prevent her from doing so. And her mother made a good point that everyone has a weakness. Even Superman has kryptonite. But regardless, Charm feels that Beverly is going to hold this against her and that she may have potentially taken herself out of the runnings. Now moving along to the next scene where we have Raven and Beverly at Embolden magazine. And we see that Beverly has a proud look on her face as she looks on her computer at the billboard for Embolden magazine that is being displayed in downtown Atlanta. Now, if you go back to episode 2, where the girls met for the first time and they met Beverly for the first time, she explains to them that the projects that they will be doing will be leading up to the billboard project, which will display in downtown Atlanta and Times Square, New York. So it was definitely a full circle moment to see the billboard finally up. And also in this scene, we see Beverly and Raven kind of have sort of a nice moment. We know from watching the series that these two are like oil and water. They have a love-hate relationship. They get along and then they don't get along. But we see in this moment, Beverly does acknowledge that she is proud of all of the girls, including Raven, and she even offers Raven to go to New York with her. Now, I think earlier on in the series, Raven would have been thrilled, but I think by this point, she's very much so in her feelings, and she's kind of over it at this point. So moving along to the next scene, we have Avery, Charm, and Blasi eating breakfast and spending some time together before they have to go upstairs and find out who will be given the spot at Embolden magazine. And it's kind of bittersweet because this is the last time that they will be at Embolden together. And from here, they're going to have to figure out what is their next move. So it was kind of cool to see them smiling and laughing with each other and breaking bread with each other. It was very cool to see Avery and Blasi get along and laugh and have small talk. If you watch the series, you know that these two butt heads a lot. Their personalities are kind of the opposite, and Charm was mainly the neutral person who kind of got along with both. But as we see Blasi and Avery talking and having a good time, Charm looks very bothered, and you can tell that something is very heavy on her mind. Now, at this point, we don't know what yet. Now, at this point, of course, it could be she's about to find out if she's going to get her dream job. She's thinking probably, if I don't get my dream job, what am I going to do? As you know, Charm and her mother, they lost their house, which is how Charm ended up taking the internship and her mother went to go stay with her aunt. So that could be on her mind, as well as just having the nerves of any type of job interview or any type of meeting that involves you knowing if you got the job or not. And I also want to point out that all three of these girls need this job for their own personal reasons, but Charm is the only one that has a degree in fashion and a degree in business. Charm is the only one that for her passion is fashion. So this may mean something a little bit different to her, which is why I think you saw her internalizing and being very quiet and observant with a heavy mind. Also in the scene, Blasi does reveal that she did get her car back from her father. As we know, Blasi's father had cut her off financially and had taken her car. So for Blasi to mention that she did get her car back maybe gives us a glimmer of hope that maybe her and her father are working things out and that this might be a sign of reconciliation. So from here, Blasi and Avery head upstairs to await the decision as Charm stays in the restaurant still collecting her thoughts. But we do see in the waiting room, things are becoming very real. This is the moment. Avery and Blasi both look very nervous because this is that moment when things get real. This is what they've all have worked so hard for, to get this one spot at this magazine company that they know will impact and change their lives. And this is the last little bit of calmness before we get to the storm. So from here, we go back to Beverly and Raven in the office, and Beverly says, hey, when the girls get here, call them in one by one. Here's the schedule. Raven gets the schedule and she looks at it and she notices a slight tweak that wasn't there prior. Now I do want to say from here there will be spoilers. So if you have not watched the entire series and you don't know how it ended, I do not want to spoil it for you. So please go back to episode 1 and watch your way back to here. So Raven notices that Charm does not have the last meeting, which in the corporate world, when there's 2 candidates or 3 candidates, or the way that Embolden does their business, the chosen candidate always comes last. So when Raven notices that Charm isn't last on the schedule, that is a clue to her that Charm may not be getting the job, and Beverly, who once again is throwing her a curveball. Now, prior to this, it had been discussed, it had been noted, it had been kind of known that the position would go to Charm. She had been the clear front runner. Now, from here, this is when everything kind of hits the fan, and Raven lets Beverly have it, and they just go at each other. Now, we're used to seeing Beverly and Raven go at each other. They've done it the whole season. But you can tell this time was a little bit different. I think Raven felt disrespected about Beverly making a last-minute switch because they had already talked about it prior, who would get the position. And for Beverly to switch it up and not inform Raven is personally offensive to Raven because it kind of lets her know where Beverly places her. Now, of course, Raven does work for Beverly, and she is Beverly's assistant, but there should still be some kind of mutual respect for each other. As co-workers, as boss and assistant, it should be some type of mutual respect. And as we know in Raven's mind, she does not feel that Beverly gives her that respect. Now, it's kind of funny to me, even though it wasn't funny. Beverly is notorious for doing this to Raven. She's always changing something, not telling Raven, or doing something that she knows will get under Raven's skin. And for me, I kind of get the sense that Beverly likes to kind of nudge at Raven a little bit. She knows what kind of gets under Raven's skin. Raven blows up, and then Beverly dismisses her. And it's almost kind of like you don't want Raven to fall for it every time, but at the same time, I can see how Raven can feel very offended at some of the ways in which Beverly moves. Now, from here, Raven goes up for Charm. She advocates for Charm. Raven literally makes so many great points of why Charm should get the job. But Beverly is adamant about Avery. Now, I will be honest, for me this entire season, I always felt like if If it wasn't going to be Charm, then it had to be Avery. But inside of that, for me, Charm to me was the best candidate. How she moved, her skill level, and just her as an overall person. Now, in the middle of Beverly and Raven arguing, two very interesting things come out. For one, Beverly accuses Raven of sucking up to Charm and befriending Charm because with the position, if Charm were to get it, Charm gets to hire her own assistant. And as we know, Raven has been very adamant about getting a raise. So Beverly is essentially accusing Raven of not really being a friend to Charm, but just using her to get a higher position. And Beverly also lets it be known that the internship was never supposed to exist, and she only did it, once again, like I said, Beverly likes to do things to get under Raven's skin. She says that she only did this to light a fire under Raven, to get her motivated, because Raven was not focused and not doing the things that she was supposed to be doing. And she was tired of Raven self-loathing, acting insecure and desperate. So it was kind of a twist hidden inside of the series. If you go back and watch the entire series, you can see little hints and little subtle things that I tried to implant in the series to show that Raven was also in the running too. It appeared, or it was stated, that the position is between Avery, Charm, and Blasi, but Raven was always in the picture, and Beverly was always watching to see if Raven would go up above and beyond to reclaim her right at the position. And I get a sense that Beverly looks at Raven like the daughter she never had. Beverly wants, like any big CEO, they want to leave their company to someone that will run it like them, that will be able to take over the company if they should step down. Beverly wants Raven to be this beast. She wants Raven to be like another version of her. But that's just not the core of Raven. Raven is really good at what she does, but Raven is not as cold as Beverly. And for Beverly to be in this kind of business, to be at the top, to be a CEO of a company as big as Embolden, Beverly knows she has to be cutthroat. She has to be dismissive. She has to be bold. Hence the name of the company, Embolden, which means to empower or give someone strength or courage to do something that they thought they couldn't do. And it's almost like she just wants to push Raven to her brink to get her to become great, or to get her to step into what she considers is excellence. And Raven is like, no, this is me. This is what I am. Accept me for who I am. And although Beverly does show Raven a lot of tough love, I do think that it is in part because she does want Raven to step into that role if she can no longer do it. And she does want Raven to be more tough. And I do think she loves and she does care for Raven, even though she rips through her a lot. Because as we see when Raven leaves the room, we kind of see Beverly get a little bit emotional and tear up a little bit. And I also feel like for every character in this series, it's been high stakes for all of them. I do think that Beverly eventually gravitated more towards Avery getting the position, because we know that Beverly's company is under attack. Her ex-friend is potentially suing her for the company because she states that Beverly stole the idea from her. So with Beverly feeling this kind of pressure and knowing that someone is coming after her and coming after her empire, I feel like she wanted someone that was also from a world that is also cutthroat. And as we know, Avery worked in a strip club. Avery had humble beginnings. Avery has a very similar upbringing to Beverly, and Beverly feels like Avery is a younger version of her. And I just feel like Beverly felt that Charm was too soft-spoken and not cutthroat enough, or so she thought. So after Raven and Beverly go head-to-head, it's pure chaos from here. Raven ends up leaving, but before she leaves, she calls Charm to let her know that she did not get the job. Now, this is against protocol. She was not supposed to do this. what is Charm supposed to do? Charm's on her way up to the meeting to see if she did get the job, and to be told out of nowhere, leave, don't come up here, you're wasting your time, you didn't get the job. To me, it was very inconsiderate. She kind of robbed Charm of her moment of knowing. Raven is so emotional at this point that she is only thinking about herself and her lack. But hey, it works out, prompting Charm to have her meeting first, and as we see, this works in her favor. So in the meeting with Beverly and Charm, this scene would be the epitome of never underestimate your opponent and never judge a book by its cover. Leading up to this, we've seen Charm be very soft-spoken, very quiet, and very observant. But in this scene, we now know why. And we now know why Charm was very quiet at breakfast, even more quieter than her usual self. And we know why her mind was heavy, because Charm was gearing herself up to make a huge chess move. I feel like Charm had kind of prepared for both, if it went her way and if it didn't go her way. So in the meeting, we see Beverly praises Charm and her talent and her designs as she gently lets her down and lets her know that she will not be getting an offer for the job. And then this is where all the lessons leading up to this episode, where Charm pulls from all the things that her father taught her and all the things that her mother taught her. And her father is very strategic and very wise and taught her how to play the game, but in a very honest and strategic way. And her mother always taught her to listen to her father. But all else fails, go for what you know. And Charm went for what she knew. Unbeknownst to us, the audience, Charm had had a meeting. Charm had already been sought after by Beverly's nemesis, Elodie, even before she got the internship. So when Raven told Charm that, hey, Beverly's ex-friend is coming after her, she's going to sue the company, Charm gathered all of the information and she put it all together, and she realized that this information was leverage, and she put it in her back pocket just in case. Now, if you remember a few episodes prior, we saw Charm have a very mysterious phone call, but we didn't know who she was talking to or why. But in this episode, it all comes back around full circle, and Charm uses this information as leverage to strong arm Beverly. She knows that Beverly is very vulnerable, and Charm has studied the way Beverly runs her company. She studied her budget, because when Charm worked on the projects, she was in charge of the budget and putting the entire programs together, and also even making designs for the company when need be, because Charm has a dual degree. She has a degree in business finance and also in fashion. And Charm has a very high IQ. So she used all of that information and what she knew about Elodie as it relates to Beverly, and seeing as though Elodie was also pursuing Charm before Charm even knew about the beef between Elodie and Beverly, Charm positioned herself that if she did not get the job at Embolden, then she would take her strengths and her skills and go to Elodie's magazine company. But she did not want to do that necessarily, because Charm does not want to play dirty. And she also wanted to leverage that information to not only get herself employed, but to also get Avery and Blasi employed and get Raven a higher position. And that's why I'm glad that Charm made the move that she made, because not only did she get a position, she sent the elevator back down and she picked up her friends to pull them back up with her too. And this definitely speaks to Charm's character and her strategic strength. I don't know if Avery and Blasi would have done this for Charm. And I don't know if they would have been able to strategically use the information and sit on it for as long as Charm did and execute as well as Charm executed. And I like how Charm reminded Beverly when Beverly asked Charm to figure out, do you like to cut off the head of the snake or the tail of the snake? And Charm said both. And that's essentially what she did. She cut off both ends of the snake to force Beverly's hand. And this scene also reveals another part of the conversation that Charm had with her mother, when her mother told her to go for what you know when all else fails, and that everyone has a weakness, even Beverly, and Charm find her weakness and go in. Because sometimes when people play the game dirty with you, you got to play dirty back with them. I love the part when Charm stated that there are no giants because there's always going to be a David and there's always going to be a Goliath. You just have to come with your slingshot ready. My favorite part of this is not only Charm securing a position for herself, but for the other girls as well. Just seeing Beverly relay the information to Blossie and Avery and seeing the smiles and the relief on their faces was a very nice moment for me. And then just the sisterhood and the bonding of it all. I feel like these girls all came from a rocky place and had a rocky start with each other, but to see their growth of how they grew together and individually was very powerful to me. So if you were rooting for Charm to get the position in which a lot of people were, congratulations, she got it. But I want to know from you all, what did you think when Charm almost didn't get the position? And what do you think about the power move that she made? Now with Charm, Blossie, and Avery, we got to see their arc. We got to see them go from the bottom up to the top and evolve. But Raven, I feel like, is not there yet and still has more work to do. And in the end, we see where Raven has gone to and where she ends up at. And we see that she's working with the ops. She's working with Beverly's nemesis. And it kind of makes you think, has she always been working with LRD? And I kind of feel like a villain has been born. I kind of feel like we were watching Raven's origin villain story. So I wrote this series in concept because I always loved movies like Devil Wears Prada, Gossip Girl, and for me, Blair Waldorf from Gossip Girl was my fashion crush. I loved all of her styles and choices, and I wanted to see myself, especially me being an actress, in those spaces, in those type of TV shows, in those type of movies, and I felt like I just wasn't seeing that. So I wanted to make a visual of the concept that had been in my head for many years. And I wrote it because Charm City is loosely based off my life. Just like Charm, I too came from a small town and I left to go live in a big city to pursue my dream as well. For me, it was acting. For Charm, it was fashion. And I also wanted to make a fun show that had some drama and some fashion. And I just wanted to build a storyline around that. The hardest thing about making this series and just in general being a one-woman show, as an actress, it's very hard to portray all of these characters at one time, to do their hair differently, their wardrobe differently, to give each one a different energy, a different vibe. At times, it was very challenging to do that because I really wanted to focus on one character and give that character all the energy and all the focus. And of course, it was hard shooting everything by myself with the green screen. Editing was a beast. Writing it, just doing every facet of it. Like I did this entire thing by myself. And it was very ambitious of me, seeing that I have 2 YouTube channels. I make short form content. I'm an actress and I also have a 9-to-5 job. So it was very hard at times to find time to shoot and to get it uploaded. So when I say that this was a journey for me, this was a journey for me. But I really wanted to tell the story. I really wanted a visual to go with the story that I had in my head for so many years. Playing all these characters were really fun. And what's funny about it, each character is an extension of me. I am a Blossie in a way. I am a Charm in probably the biggest way. I'm also a Raven at times. I'm a Beverly at times. So that was interesting to see my different essences all in one series. But even though this was hard work, it was so fulfilling. But I will say that this was very fun. And as an actress, writer, director, it helped me stretch my mind and my skills in so many ways. And I feel like it sharpened me in a lot of different areas. Now, will there be a season 2? Maybe. I mean, I definitely left it open just in case. For me, it's all going to come down to time management. And I definitely do want to see what happens with LRD Inc. versus Emboldened Magazine and what is to become of Raven since she has switched sides. But as for now, I also want to see season 1 get more views, get some more eyes on it, and I want to get more people to watch it and see where it goes. And ultimately, I would love for my concept to be picked up. I can see this show on Netflix, Hulu, Amazon. Ultimately, I just see great things for this show. So what do you all think about this episode, and what are your thoughts on the things that transpired? Please leave your thoughts and comments below in the comments section. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And I would say see you in the next episode, but for now, stay tuned. And if you haven't watched the entire season, my one ask is that you go and do so. Thank you all for riding with me on this journey. Thank you for all the comments, likes, and views. But all in all, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.